Xavier loved being a superhero. He wore his Captain America costume every day. He even slept in it. His best friend Pikachu was always by his side. Xavier, Pikachu, you are the best teammate ever. Pikachu was a yellow plush toy, but Xavier knew he was real. They were a team. Xavier's room was their headquarters. Posters of superheroes covered the walls. Action figures stood on every shelf. Xavier would stand tall, Pikachu tucked under his arm. Xavier, ready for action, Pikachu? Pikachu never said a word, but Xavier knew what he was thinking. Adventure awaited. One sunny afternoon, Xavier and Pikachu went to the park. Xavier pushed Pikachu in the swing. He pretended Pikachu was flying through the air. Xavier, faster, Pikachu, faster. Xavier laughed. He loved spending time with his best friend. As they walked through the park, Xavier heard a noise. It was a soft noise, but it sounded sad. Xavier, what is that, Pikachu? He looked around, trying to find the source of the sound. Pikachu's ears perked up. He was listening too. The sound was coming from a tree. Xavier looked up. High up in the branches, he saw something moving. It was a small, fluffy kitten. The kitten was stuck. It meowed sadly. Xavier, don't worry, little kitten, we'll save you. He looked around for a way to reach the kitten, but the branches were too high. Even standing on his tiptoes, Xavier couldn't reach. Xavier thought for a moment. Then he had an idea. He took off his Captain America belt. He carefully tied one end around Pikachu. Holding onto the other end, he slowly lifted Pikachu up to the branch where the kitten was stuck. Xavier, help the kitten, Pikachu. Pikachu seemed to understand. He reached out with his tiny plush paws and gently nudged the kitten. The kitten was scared, but Pikachu kept nudging. Finally, the kitten crawled onto Pikachu's back. Xavier carefully lowered them both to the ground. Xavier, you were so brave, Pikachu, Xavier said, hugging his plush friend. Pikachu seemed happy too. He had helped save the kitten. As Xavier and Pikachu walked home, they noticed something strange. There were shadows in the park. Dark, swirling shadows that seemed to move on their own. They made the air feel cold. Xavier felt a shiver run down his spine. He had never seen shadows like these before. They looked dangerous. Pikachu felt it too. He snuggled closer to Xavier. On a park bench, someone had painted strange symbols. They were circular symbols with lines and dots inside. Xavier didn't recognize the language. They looked ancient and powerful.
We have to stop the shadow, Pikachu. The next day, the news was filled with stories about the strange happenings. People were scared. They called it the work of the shadow, a mysterious figure no one had ever seen.
Pika. Xavier knew he had to do something. He put on his Captain America costume and grabbed Pikachu.
Pikachu nodded. He was ready for anything. Following the trail of strange symbols, Xavier and Pikachu found themselves outside an old, abandoned warehouse. The air around the warehouse crackled with energy. This was the Shadow's hiding place. Xavier was sure of it. Xavier took a deep breath and pushed open the creaky door. The warehouse was dark and dusty. Cobwebs hung from the ceiling like spooky decorations. It was the perfect place for a villain to hide. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows. The Shadow! It was taller than Xavier's dad and wore a long, dark cloak that swirled around it like smoke. Its eyes glowed red in the darkness.
You cannot stop me. I will soon rule the world.
The Shadow boomed, its voice echoing through the warehouse. Xavier knew he had to be brave.
Not if we can help it.
Xavier shouted back. He knew he couldn't fight the Shadow alone. He needed Pikachu's help. Xavier threw Pikachu into the air.
Pikachu, use your Thunderbolt.
Pikachu crackled with yellow electricity. He had never done anything like this before, but he knew what he had to do. He was Xavier's best friend, and they were a team. Pikachu unleashed a powerful thunderbolt towards the Shadow. The Shadow roared in pain as the thunderbolt hit. The warehouse shook and dust rained down from the ceiling. When the dust settled, the Shadow was gone. Pikachu had defeated the villain. Xavier ran to Pikachu and hugged him tightly.
You did it, Pikachu. You saved the day.
The next day, Xavier and Pikachu were heroes. The entire city of Liberty City celebrated their bravery. Newspapers printed their pictures. People cheered their names.
Hooray for Xavier and Pikachu.
Xavier knew he might not have superpowers like the heroes in his comic books, but he had something even better. Courage, a loyal friend in Pikachu, and a heart full of hope. He learned that anyone could be a hero no matter how small.